Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco. Gladiator Guru will be here shortly. We had a little snafu. So give me a minute because I am bringing us back onto Facebook because apparently we had an issue with Facebook this morning. So there we go. We are now live on Facebook. So good morning, everyone. And like I said, Gladiator Guru will be here shortly. So thank you so much for being here this morning. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how your year is unfolding so far. Let me just get situated here and get my phone ready so I can pay attention to the viewers that are coming on. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one. It's so hard to do by yourself. Okay, there we go. Now I see myself. All right. There we go. Good morning, Kathy. Happy that you are here this morning. You are the first one on. You beat Evelyn. Usually Evelyn jumps on real quickly from YouTube. And look at good morning, Gail. Gail, you were in my thoughts like crazy yesterday. So I hope I was thinking about you, Gail, because I said, you know what, I got to schedule a chat with you. And I really apologize that through these last, we haven't spoken about on the phone in 3 months, I think. So I feel bad. I feel like we need to connect. So good morning, Evelyn. Gladiator Guru will be here shortly. She just asked me to jump on because we do need to end on time today at 9 o'clock. So I just wanted to get things going. So get us into the mode here and let us know how you've been doing. You know, we've posted a lot of stuff on you already for this year, and we want to know how you're doing with it. We want to know what you are. What are you learning about yourself? What have you learned so far? What is different about, even though I don't like to look at it this way, but what is different about you in 2023 and you today? And it doesn't have to be necessarily like December 31st to January 1st. It could be, what did you learn about yourself for 2023? And what are you doing differently, if anything, for 2024? Did you nail it for 2023 and you feel like you're just going to coast for 2024? Did you have some trials and tribulations, challenges? Did you have some absolute phenomenal wins? You know, it's important for us to reflect on those things. So as we look at the news media and we reflect on who died for 2023, because we do that all the time, yet we don't reflect on our own stuff. So it's important for us to take time to do that. One thing that I had to really become aware of, let me rephrase this. I had to admit to myself was that I got away from some of my practices. One of my practices being that I would get up very early every morning and I would sit and meditate for about 30 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. And it was important for me to do that because it actually grounded me and helped me decide how my day was going to go. And I would often think of ideas and creations. And sometimes I would meditate longer than that because it just worked for me. But I got out of that practice. And the more I thought about it, I realized that it sort of coincided with my lack of focus, you know. So today was the first day that I actually went back and did it in quite a very long time. I mean, I would do it sporadically, but it had been quite a while since I've done that. And it felt so good. Like it felt really good. And it was amazing what pops up when we're still. You know, so sometimes we're under the impression that things that we used to do, it's in the past, you know, it's no good. But if what you did in the past worked for you and then you changed it and it's not working, then it's not a bad consideration to review that. You know, sometimes we think we need bigger and better, but then we realize that the smaller amounts were better. And I could say this for my business. You know, in the beginning, I was rocking. The minute I put my business together, I was rocking and rolling. I had workshops to teach. People were hiring me to speak all the time. And I started to want to move into a bigger direction, you know, and then I started to work with business coaches and they were great. You know, it's not that they weren't. It's just that I ended up getting so away from my own vision that I completely ended up falling on my face and my business tanked, So we sometimes have to take stock in that and review and then say, did this work? Did this not? And this comes along with living, not lying to ourselves and living in our truth. Reviewing your previous year, reviewing your month, reviewing your week. It's important to check in, but it's also important to be honest when you're checking in. So when I would do my reviews at the end of the year, I would purposefully leave out certain things because I did not want to face it or deal with it. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, 2 years passed, 3 years passed, 4 years passed. That's just the way life is. And then here we are having to fix things. And that's where I am right now. So I'm literally, now that I moved to another state, I'm almost completely starting over with my business. I did change my business over from an incorporation in Connecticut to an LLC here in Tennessee. But it's finding new patients, finding new clients all over again for my home office, but also my online clients, So it's interesting because I've come full circle to have to go back to the way that I did it. And I don't have to go back. I want to go back. So let me rephrase that. I want to go back to the way I did things before because it worked for me. And it was a lot of fun doing that. So anyway, for those of you that are just jumping on, be patient. Gladiator Guru is coming. She woke up late. She was having some connectivity issues. I see her coming on now. So we want to say good morning to Migdalia and Iritza and Tiffany. I also see who else is in the house. Oops. Where did I go with my comments? I'm telling you, I keep hitting stuff all the time. Good morning, Gladiator Guru. Here we go. Oh, you look fabulous. Look at you.
Good morning. It's poor lighting, but it's okay. Good morning, mi gente. Hola, milagro.
Can't seem to get. Oh, there we go. Jonathan's here as well. A couple of other people jumped on. I saw Jonathan. Nancy Green, I saw come on. So good morning, everybody, and thank you. And please remember to like, share, follow, subscribe. We really appreciate that. So for those of you that are on, if you could share it, and especially if you could share the YouTube channel, that's the one that we really would like to grow, is the YouTube channel. So check us out on the YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe to us. Share the link with people. So there you go. I'm assuming, are you at Janet's house?
Yes, I'm back home. I arrived late last night after 3 flights. And so coming home at 1 a.m. was like 7 o'clock in the morning over there. So it was a bit of adjustment to actually fall asleep and get up and be like, oh my goodness. But here we are. Fabulous and amazing as always.
Like slut magic, as you would say.
That's it. Right? That's it.
So you literally came in at what time?
Well, by the time the flight came in, going through customs and all that, we got here like around 11 p.m. And yes, then, last night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then adjusting and everything. I didn't get to bed till like after 2 a.m.
And you woke up with us.
Here we are. Buenos días, mi gente.
All right. Just while I type everybody and say hi to everybody, is there anything that you want to add about your travel? And that must have been a very challenging, it's emotional and it's exhausting and there's so many things.
Yeah, there's so many. First it was 3 buses to get somewhere, and then it was yesterday 3 flights to get back home. But let me tell you something. I could have flipped it. There could have been so many setbacks that I could have caused myself because I didn't like the transition, or like there was one time that I did almost lose it. And it's because we had to come out from Madrid to Portugal. We had to come out onto the tarmac and then climb into a bus and then wait for it to get packed. And then I felt like they gave us a tour of the tarmac before going somewhere in order for me to catch my flight. But that was like the only thing that I was like, because I was tired already. But other than that, I just think that if you're open-minded to whatever's coming, you can handle it. It's not anything that's frustrating. It can be very frustrating. It can be very disappointing. It could be many, many negative things that we're so accustomed of quickly projecting into our lives. But I think that for me, it was like, and even for Iris, and we had to carry our backpacks and go from one terminal to the next, and customs in Portugal and customs here. And it was a little, ugh. But overall, it was good. We ate good on the plane. I mean, we ate at the Portugal airport for lunch, and then we had dinner on the plane. And what I'm saying is just, this new year, I'm so embracing myself. I'm so embracing anything that comes my way. And then guess what we do? We organize to eliminate and to categorize what we are going to keep into our lives. And I think that's the best way for me to look at it. Like, okay, this is what I have. This is what I've done. I don't need this anymore. It was nice while I had it, and it's still in good condition. So you either give it away, you donate it, whatever. And then what you do have, you utilize it. You make it a part of your everyday life. Because if not, then why do you need it for? To hold on to stuff? So I think it makes your load lighter as you go on day through day with whatever it is you got to deal with. And if you keep it intentional, is this good for me? Do I need this? Am I going to benefit from it in the future? Yay or nay? And then make your decision on what it is you want to have, people, places, and things in your life. I can't stress that enough. This trip has shown me exactly that. And another thing is, what's the law of life? Anybody? What's the law of life? It's death. For every beginning, there's an end for new beginnings. So I think allow yourself to feel, and I haven't done that yet. And I know that's what you asked in the beginning. No, with the busy schedule of getting from the middle of a country to a larger city to then do this, I haven't. Even when I came here last night to my sisters, and my son and my daughter were here, and it felt so good to have both my kids in the same room and everything, but there was still no emotion. It was more gratitude that we're all here together. So when it comes, it comes. And that's how we got to. Don't anticipate what's coming, and don't grieve what's gone. Just if we are in our moment, then guess what? Everything's so much more beautiful. And that's what I'm experiencing right now with my beautiful red lipstick.
Yeah, and I was going to say, for somebody who got to bed at 2, you look absolutely fabulous. For somebody who was traveling all day yesterday, you look fantastic.
My feet were they're still a bit because I did exercise it, but yeah, my ass was numbed. It's, let me tell you something, but overall, turbulence, whatever, we made it safe. We made it. We came out of the airport. I enjoyed that first cigarette after like 7 hours of not having one. And then the guy was there to pick us up, and it was just beautiful. And so what do you have to complain about? Something you already went through at 9 o'clock this morning. So I'm just saying, people, we're still early in the year. There's still 300 and something pages in your book. Let's just cut the bullshit. We got to mourn when we mourn. We got to identify grief and not continue to dress it up as anger. So that's what should be the priority in our lives. Why am I angry? Or am I really angry? Or am I just sad? Or am I just disappointed? And let's just get to the bottom of that.
And today's conversation really coincides with all of that as well, because it's expose yourself. So listen, we're not necessarily talking about you going outside naked with your overcoat on and showing off. But listen, if that's in your practice and that's what you want to do, by all means, no judgment. But it's about exposing yourself for who you are. In other words, not lying to yourself, walking in your truth, living your truth. And exposing yourself is most specifically exposing vulnerabilities. But it's not like you have to wear them outside so everybody can see, especially when you still are working on things. And there's certain people that will definitely go after you when you're exposing your vulnerabilities. It's really about for you to expose it to yourself, and then look at yourself in the mirror every single day and work on it and acknowledge that these are the things that I need work on. And then also exposing what's great about yourself. Again, it's like if you're going to open that trench coat, or as Gladiator Guru likes to do, just lift up your shirt, you want to be able to like what you see there no matter what. Things could always be worse than they are. And so you have to embrace what you have right here. And so that's the key for today and for the rest of this weekend, is to expose yourself, is to really step into who you are and become aware of who you are, all of it, from all angles, from all, throughout the whole thing, and from one end to the other, I mean. And then what are you going to do with that information? How are you going to live your life? And good morning to Brenda Roldan for being on this morning.
Good morning, Brenda. Listen, you said something very imperative. You said, you don't want to expose yourself to anyone that can use your own vulnerabilities against you, but you can't lie to yourself. We've always heard the phrase, there's an angel on one shoulder and the devil on another. And then we visualize that. So you see this and you see that. But really, it is you and you, because, you are your own worst enemy as well as you are your own best friend.
Yes.
Those are the things we grew up with, the angel and the devil on our shoulders. It's who you are. And I think we need a mix of both. Like last week we talked about, we do need some kind of percentage of fear in our lives, but it has to be a healthy fear. It's a fear that keeps us in check, not a fear that keeps us in the box. So when you stop lying to yourself, when you accept yourself for who you really are, you're going to go through both phases. You are your worst enemy and you are your best friend. So let's just try to stick with that. Gail, you and I got to have a really, really deep conversation, because I believe the ego, once it's nurtured, that's your hype man. That's your best friend. When you are riddled with fear, anxiety, low vibrations, then your ego is your worst enemy. But it is part of your spirit. So you got to nurture it, not hate it, despise it, dislike it. Keep it in the shadows. You got to bring it forth, but you got to feed your spirit kindness and gratitude. Then you got to nurture your ego, dispelling all that anxiety, which, what is anxiety? Fear of fear. So let's get it together. Let's expose ourselves. And now you don't even got to go into detail, because badass, you don't want to go into detail of all the terrible decisions you've made. Yeah, exactly, Gail. When you nurture it by dispelling the anxiety and the fear, then it's comfortable. That's when you start following and flowing in your gut instinct. That's how your ego becomes your friend. And that's how it's there to support you and not to hinder you.
Yeah, the ego comes out. The bad side of the ego comes out when people are insecure. That's what drives them when they're insecure. But when you're a very secure person, the ego gives you that little extra edge, that little push that I've noticed within me. And it's funny, because until Gladiator Guru had started to have conversation with me with regards to that and changing that idea of nurturing the ego, it's interesting, the conversations that unfold. I've had arguments with people where I've had somebody snap at me because I mentioned that. I said, the ego is not a bad thing. You just need to nurture it. And this person jumped at me and said, no, the ego, there's no reason for egos here. And I'm in my head, I'm going, and there's your ego coming out, because that's proof positive of it. I know whenever it's funny. I used to laugh because I've always been that person that deep down, I've known my abilities, but there was always that insecurity that would prevent me from really stepping forward. And I also have been very acutely aware of God's sense of humor, because, and God's always had a sense of humor with me, because anytime I've done something and I'm doing it well, I'm in a rhythm, I'm in a flow. I always think of Gail when I say the flow word, but then when I would get a little pompous, and say, oh, I'm just going to show off a little bit, God would put that little stick out in front of me and make me trip in front of a whole bunch of people in the process of doing what I was doing. There would always be something that would happen where I would kind of get knocked down and be like, I don't think so. And I read it wrong for years. I read it wrong for years. I read it as if like, no, you have to play small. No, you have to play small. It wasn't really until actually having conversations with Gladiator Guru years ago with regards to nurturing that ego that I realized it wasn't about me, God telling me to play small. It was about God telling me that's not who you are. You're not that type of person. So do it differently. And so I become, I'm very aware of when I start to feel the need to like correct somebody or do something. I always stop myself now. And I not always, there's a few times it slips out, but I stop myself and I say, where's this really coming from? Am I correcting the person or giving knowledge, like educating the person because I need to exert my power and I need to show them I know it? Or do I feel it would be beneficial to them to tell them that, And even sometimes when I feel it's beneficial, I tread lightly because it can come out as cocky, and that's just not me. I'd rather give people insight and share wisdom than to tell people, well, this is the way it is. And again, it always backfires anyway.
Well, yeah, because if you walk in your truth, you have to speak the truth, whether it's cocky or not. And let me tell you something. When you vibrate low, you invite, if you're spiritual at all, when you're vibrating low, you invite spirits, negative spirits, demons into you.
And there's an awful lot of them.
And that's who takes over your ego. Now all of a sudden the demon's taking over and you're whatever, or the dark entity. And people don't want to hear that. They're vibrating low. So what happens when you're vibrating low? Depression, anxiety,
yes,
the loss of self. So you're opening the door in the spiritual realm. You're opening the door for all of that. And then you have this egotistical nut who thinks they know it all, but it's just like a peacock. They're walking in, el pavo real. And so it's always your fault, or it's always your accomplishment. Are you vibrating high? Are you grounding? Are you walking outside barefoot? Are you hugging trees? Are you grounding? Are you recharging your soul? If you're not doing anything and expecting everything, it's your fault. If you are working towards it, but you're not understanding it, or you're a little frightened by it because you have to do it, you know what? We're on the sidelines with the pom-poms. Go ahead, you got it. We believe in you. But the bottom line is you're going to have to want to do it. And when, it's just like with everything. Sometimes I speak very passionately. So maybe my delivery is a little boom in your face, but the message, and then that's discernment. And I'm like, I don't never really have apologized for the way that I am. Okay. But I do get a little perturbed and a little disappointed when people don't understand what I'm saying because they're too busy judging my passion and how I'm saying it.
Yes.
Oh, she's coming out like that. Oh, she's too rough. And I don't know. I don't want her. Discernment, mi gente. And like I said in the beginning of the year, that's my word. To be gentler with myself, kinder so that I can be kind and share it with everybody. And to use discernment because I don't want to misjudge anybody. I don't want to poorly judge anybody. And I don't want to get confused with the devil and think they're a good person. So discernment, discernment, discernment. So when people, even people who know me, they come out there, and I'm like, you know what? They're not my people anymore. Especially if you've known me most of your life and you're still getting offended by how I'm delivering something, then you're definitely not my person. And am I wrong? I'm probably wrong 50% of the time in my life. But do I stand up for what I believe in? 100%. So my 100% may be your 10% because you don't want to hear it, you don't want to accept it, or I'm too loud for you. But the thing is that, you know what? Search for your people.
Not that loud. I'm going to tell you right now.
Huh? What?
You're not that loud. I'm going to tell you that right now. I have been around louder people, and your if you're talking about volume, you're not that loud. If you're talking about boldness, it's beautiful when a person has let go of, again, like their ego and their judgments, because what you have to say is bold and beautiful. I've been around a lot of loud people that are not really saying much of anything.
Oh yeah.
And the beauty is, or not the beauty, the thing is that when I've looked, it's very bothersome to me to be around people like that. And it's sad, like I've never had that happen before, but over the last couple of years, it's been that way. But when I try to filter out all that loudness, they really have some very interesting things to say. But I'm looking at them, and my observation is that they're trying all that again to be like, they're lying to themselves. They don't want people to see who they really are, and so they're loud. And the sad part is that deep down they really have some great stuff, but they're overriding it with all this loudness and all this fluff. And it's and rather than get angry at people like that and judging them, I've actually taken a step back over the last like 6 to 8 months and said, you know, it's again, it goes along with the idea of wounded people, you know, hurt people that have not resolved things, and they refuse to stop lying to themselves and work through it and deal with it. And I include myself in that. You know, this has been a really big learning year for me. And you can't change things that we've done in the past that we're not proud of or that we didn't like, but they all happens for a reason. And if we learn from it, then that's the key thing. And that's the thing about exposing yourself is you're not like we said, you're not walking out your door and walking out naked, exposing yourself to the world. First, you have to do it to yourself. Like, you have to do it in your mirror and stand there naked in front of yourself, because that's the person that really needs to know the truth. Because it doesn't matter what you say or what you don't say to other people out in the world. It's about what you're saying to yourself. It's that lying to yourself is the most powerful statement that could ever be discussed, because you could think you're saying stuff all nice and whatever to the outside people, but in the end, what are you really saying to yourself?
Yeah. I think pretty much, and for those who know me that are on, agree or disagree, I pretty much think that I'm really good when I'm delivering something. When I get passionate, it's like I'm boom, throwing it on you. But either way, or when we're talking and I'm saying something and you're still not getting it, and then I hate stupid questions. I'm sorry. If we just had a discussion and you're going to ask me something all over again, I'm going to be like, weren't you just listening?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I come out rough, like I said, boom, boom. Yeah, but I think for the most part, Gail, I understand people who, let me tell you, at first I used to be like questioning myself many years ago. And then I realized through just research and studying and training that those same people that were labeling me, all those names, were insecure and filled with fear. They were the ones that be like, oh God, you're going back to Florida? But they never left the street they were born on. So, and then in observing them more, you come to the realization that when people are judging you, whether in their mind, in their heart, or out verbally, it's their insecurities that are judging you. Yeah, I know I'm rough. I know that I can be rough. But it's with no hidden agenda behind it. So the delivery, sure, I could work on my delivery, which I'm sure when I'm around certain places, I think it's mostly with the people I'm so comfortable with that I want them to get better in life, and they're not doing it.
I agree.
You know, so
my kid, that's how I am, especially with my middle daughter, especially with her. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you know what? You got to pick your tribe. And I know that's what I mentioned to Iris on the way over here. I said, you know what? I've always walked my route. I've always conga to the beat of my drums. I've never followed the masses. I've never agreed with somebody just to be in the same space that they were in. I've always loved myself that much. And I said, and this year, whoever starts saying, oh, but you need to bring it down a couple notches. Oh, you think you really want to say that? Then I'm going to bid my adieu to them, because I believe in God, in Yahweh. And I believe that he does have a serious, like, I'd be like, God, you ready to giggle? I'm going to tell you my plans. That's my conversations with him. But I also know that he has brought me into rooms where the doors had always been locked before. So I know I'm supposed to be in certain places. I know this past year, I have not walked towards the doors to be open for me. I think I went into such self-isolation and healing so much that I healed so much that I didn't like people. I didn't want to be around people. And I'm like, oh my God, can this be like reversed a bit? But it's such an awakening to realize this is what I'm doing this year. And I hope that just like the Badass Buddha and I, mi gente, that this year you have set goals. I created a lot of stuff last year and then I sat on it and I said, no, this is January. I had to come back stateside for a reason. I'm going to start doing what I'm doing. And Milagros, if you're still on, let me know. Can you tell me how the book was that you received? And I'm going to start. We're going to promote her badass story, all three of them, because we're going to introduce the other one. You know, I'm going to start promoting my Café con Sabiduría. This is a phenomenal book. And you know what? If I don't believe in me, who's going to believe in me?
Yeah.
And it's all about that paper this year. And anybody who knows me and Badass Buddha could tell you, I'd be like, no, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. No, this year is about the money. We're getting it.
Yay.
We're getting
I'm
it.
so happy. Listen, I'm so happy that you have said that because we've talked about this, that you've fought about, you constantly say that, and that it's not about the money. I don't care about them. I always get by. And I've come to the conclusion over the last year and a half that I'm tired of just getting by. I like, you know, I want to say good morning to my sister in Colombia.
Leanne, I saw her.
And I had a beautiful conversation with my daughter yesterday. We were on the phone for like an hour and a half while she's over there. And it was emotional, and we worked through some stuff, and I'm very proud of her, and I'm very appreciative of my sister for taking her on this adventure. This is, my sister's been so good about that with regards to travel. My sister definitely loves to travel. I could take it or leave it, like when I'm good. But I'm happy as a clam just hanging out here and like having like a whole farm of animals, But so I appreciate my sister pulls me out. So we were talking about this yesterday on the phone about all the places that my daughter has gone over the last 2 years, and she's traveled out of the country quite a bit. But it's about really. What was your last statement? Because it was regarding that you were talking about. You were talking about, I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. But every year goes by, every moment goes by, and we have to say no more, or as Gladiator Guru always says, no mas. Like, what are we ready to let go of? What have we been holding on to? And that have prevented us. Like, in other words, if we're exposing ourselves, what is preventing us from pulling off that overcoat that's like, no, don't do that? Is it you? Which it probably is. Is it other people? Because remember, if we're talking about God and we're talking about, Gladiator Guru is always talking about spiritual warfare. I completely agree with it. And this is a big year. So we really, really have to step up for ourselves. But it's not just you getting in your own way, which is the worst. It's also other people, because they also, and people that you don't even know, because they don't want the world to see how great you are. You've got to overcome all of that stuff. And you can.
Yes.
You can overcome all that stuff. Partially, the tribe helps you by the comments that they make. I mean, look at what Tiffany said. Like, Tiffany went through a massive transformation over the last couple of years, and we're so proud of her. And all we did was assist in the process. We walked by her on her path. That's all we're doing. We're doing our own path, but we're there going, you got this, girl. You could do it. But Tiffany did it herself, just like Kathy did it herself. Kathy Reese, again, I'm not on social media all that much, but I popped on and Kathy's had a post that said, that so much has changed in her life. She made so many big decisions in her life, or something along those lines. Edith's has done that. Gail's gone through stuff. Gail's been changing all the time, but then something throws into her that she didn't expect, and she gets through it. And then Madeline Hernandez Lopez has done that. And good morning, Madeline.
And Milagros went through a lot, and she did it quietly, silently.
That's Milagros, though.
And I check up on her, and she tells me she's doing good, which is the best answer you can give. You know, so we are proud of you. But let me tell you something. I want you to be proud of you. You know, even when we were in Spain, and I was telling people, "Oh, she's an artist," I would cringe, but I know that I'm an artist. I've sold paintings, a lot of them. And I would say, I don't like my paintings, but other people do. And then I created, I created notebooks with my paintings, and they're beautiful.
I don't believe you say you don't like your paintings, because whenever you show them to you, he goes, "Isn't she beautiful? Isn't this lovely?" And
I just painted it. When I paint it, that's me transferring all my emotions, whether it's sorrow, grief, or love.
Moment, and then after you sit with it. Oh,
you can't even see the color of this one, but she's beautiful. And so let me tell you, what I'm saying is, I am freaking awesome, and I am a traveling magician. And anywhere I go, I create. And anywhere that I can be. I did a drawing in a big book in Spain. So what I'm saying is, mi gente, look, this is hope. See, her heart is pained.
I love that one. I love that picture.
And her feet came out so awesome. I don't know if I can ever replicate that. And then this is the one that I made while I was here at my sister's. And you can't even see the phenomenal blue in that, but it's beautiful. Anyway, so that's why I created notebooks with my art in it. You know why? Because sometimes we need to see beautiful things to get inspired to write, and I'm going to have a whole lot more. I'm going to be holding workshops here, but let me tell you, this now, what's the title of the show again, Boo? I just left.
Expose yourself.
Expose yourself. And exposing yourself doesn't mean the ugly. I didn't
show my boobs, though. Sorry.
It doesn't mean exposing
It'll be a private one.
All of the insecurities or the loss that you did. Expose your brilliance. Thank you, Milagros. Expose your brilliance. Expose your creativeness.
Yes.
Expose your gift of wordsmithing, whether you're writing or speaking. Expose yourself for the true gift that you are.
Expose your heart. Expose your spirit. That's what we're talking about. It's understand something too. Exposing yourself. The reason people have such an issue with that and feel very vulnerable is because they feel like they're not protected. But that's the interesting thing, is that when you know yourself, when you know thyself, when you are very comfortable with who you are, you're automatically protected. Makes no difference. Really, because you could step into and just walk out the door and be who you are. Like when Gladiator talks about how she goes to Walmart and she's got like dots on her face and whatever. Do you know what's interesting is that there will always be people that judge, oh, look what she's wearing, whatever. Okay, fine. But then there will always be people that are like, wow, look at that woman. Look what she's wearing. And I remember I was shopping at the mall up in Trumbull, Connecticut. And I was in one of the stores, and there was this woman, this African-American woman. She was probably there. I have a purpose for saying her color. And she was, I would say in her, I'm going to guess like late 50s, early 60s. I'm thinking more early 60s though. She had long hair. She had the little bit of gray coming through. Beautiful skin, right? No wrinkles whatsoever. I probably had a good 15 years younger than she was. Crack in her face. She was wearing this yellow outfit, like all yellow, and she, with her skin color, it just looked fabulous. And she had it going on. I mean, she took my breath away. Like I was staring at her like a man in heat. Like that's what I was looking at her, right? And I have to catch myself because I do that a lot. I will, if I don't care if it's a man or a woman, if they're good looking, like if there's somebody that I find appealing, I will stare at them. So we were in a small enough store though. And finally I'm like, you know what? I got to say something to this woman. And I walked up to her, I said, I just need to tell you, you are absolutely fabulous looking, like absolutely stunningly beautiful in that yellow and the outfit. And the woman stopped and she was beautiful, beautiful smile. And she said, she put a big smile on. She goes, wow, thank you so much. You just made my day. Now, the thing is, I could tell by her look in her face, she knew she looked good. So it wasn't like astonishing to her, but she was more like, wow, like I can't believe some woman came up to me and said that, but so she knew she didn't, I don't have to tell her, but it sort of added to it, and that's the beauty, is that you're doing this for you. You don't care what other people think. You're going to walk and strut and do your thing. Be who you are. Be proud of it. And it doesn't matter if you're a compassionate person and you're very caring, be that person. Don't hide from that. But boundaries, because when you know yourself, you also know what you're not going to take.
Absolutely.
What you're not going to put up with, what you're not going to tolerate. And when somebody comes up to you and starts going at you, the nice goes away. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're like, no, I'm preserving that. Because that's one thing I learned about myself. I was always nice. I was a people pleaser, kind, blah, blah, blah. Then I got boundaries and people had a problem with that. And they still do. But I have no problem because I know who I am. And if you're going to judge me on me snapping at you and putting you in your place, then you don't know me. You just know me as the person that's getting in your way. And that's on you. And I've learned to let go of that piece of it, but I'm not going to prevent myself from being a kind, person that I want to be. I just know what I will no longer tolerate.
But you let me tell you something. You said something that's very key. Hi, Papi, you going to work? Have a good day. Why do we have to exchange being kind when walking in our truth? Right. You don't.
That's
when
right.
When you feel that you're doing that, then you still have insecurities to work on. Let me tell you, I'll stop any man or woman on the street and be like, you are beautiful. Some of them are uncomfortable. They might think I'm flirting with them. I don't know, but I don't care. They're beautiful. Or if anything, if the only thing pretty on somebody is their hat and I like it, I'm going to say, you wear that hat very well. Because you know what? It's free to be kind to somebody. Somebody, they might not ask for it, but it's good to hear that somebody who you don't know sees the beauty in you, because then that means you're emanating that energy and that aura is vibrant. And do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. But you don't have to, there's no takeaways in having boundaries and being honest. Like when somebody gives you something to taste, and they're like, oh, how is it? Is it good? No, it smells good, but I don't like it. Don't swallow something you don't want to chew. And it starts with little stuff like that. Like, no, I don't know. It's not for me. You don't have to say, oh, this is nasty. But you could say, you know what? It's not for me. But don't eat it, because then you're now trampling over your own boundaries.
Yeah. And I will admit that sometimes I do struggle with that one a little bit. I remember how you said that you get very frustrated when people, you're talking to somebody and then they're not listening to what you're saying and they keep going over it. One of the things that I have to learn to let go of, because it's amazing to me how many people are looking for your approval on stuff. They're asking you, like, what do you think of this outfit? And they won't let go of it. It's like, well, what do you think of this outfit? Well, I don't know. Like, what do you think? It doesn't matter what I think, or how was the food that I made? Or what do you think of this thing that I made? I think it's great. Does it really matter what I think? Sometimes it does. Sometimes you want to see, because you're like, well, I'm putting it out to other people, so I kind of need to know. Mm-hmm. I get that. But ask yourself, do I constantly need to ask people what their thought is on something? I was that person too. I was that person that would tell people what I did, like, oh, I did this and I did this, because I wanted the recognition for it. And I've slowly come to realize that I don't necessarily care. I care what I think. If I did it and I think it's good, then it's good. If I did it and I don't think it's great, then it's not great. And what do I need to do differently? The only one that I tend to struggle with, and I've talked to my sister about this, is I still, in a way, struggle with getting my mother's approval on stuff, like acknowledgement, because and I don't like that. Like, I don't, because I feel like that's just terrible. I look at it from my children's perspective too, as I've said to them numerous times. I said, listen, you do not need my approval for stuff. You be who you are. And as long as you are in alignment with who you are, you do not need my approval. If you're asking just for reassurance to say, am I on the right track? I will be honest with you. And if I don't think you are, that is my opinion. But if I don't think you are, because I'm looking at you for who you are, I will tell you. But I will reassure you and without even you asking, because that's actually the best time to do it, is when the person shouldn't have to get you to ask and say, what do you think of this? It's more like, wow, you did a great job. And that falls onto us too, is, listen, we have to be grateful in life. We have to be grateful for the things that we do and what we receive. But we also have to be grateful to other people. And we have to make sure that we tell them those things.
You do.
I really appreciate you doing this. I'm really grateful for this, because that's a beautiful vibrational energy to spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggle because with one piece of it is, there are people in my life or that are no longer in my life that I am grateful for things that they have done or things that I've learned about. And there's a little part of me that wishes I could express that to them, but I can't necessarily, because then that little piece comes out with that vulnerable piece of, it's how they receive it and what they're going to do with that information. Exposing yourself sometimes and saying to somebody, it's like when you're an alcoholic and you do the 12 steps, and one of the steps is you have to go back and talk to people about how you wronged them.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that are very beautiful about receiving it, and they're like, thank you so much, I really appreciate what you said, and they leave it at that. And then there's other people who take it as an open invitation to go off on you, and you have to be able to take that. And sometimes I'm not in a state of mind where I'm still not ready to take that from certain situations or people, and I may never be,
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to look at it myself and say, does it matter? Like, does it matter to me to actually have to say I know what I'm grateful for? It's just like asking forgiveness. People think that forgiveness is about asking forgiveness of other people, but the most important forgiveness is self. You have to be able to forgive yourself and then take accountability for self with choices that you have made that might not have been great, and then redeem yourself only if it's affected somebody to a certain level where, they need to hear that,
You got to be, you know what, the bottom line is, you got to be open to accept and to give. If you can offer your advice, your opinion, your sarcasm, your love, you have to be just as open to receive all of that back in whatever order it comes in. And it's hard. I think every person, it's hard to either, like you said, if somebody asks for forgiveness, and you have to stand there because you opened that door. Okay, it's raining and I don't have an umbrella. I'm wet. But I want to go here. Madeline, I want to read what Madeline wrote, because she says, I love her bravery and her courage in being wholeheartedly herself. Margarita, you have inspired me to face truthful feedback and stand in my own truth. Thank you. That means a whole lot to me, Madeline. Expose your art, Margarita de Margarita. I hate when I see you cringe because I love your art and your poetry. You don't say you're a poet and you need to work on this. I'm your number one fan. I'm the hype man. But honestly, I love your work, and it has helped me grow to who I am today. Iris and I are still, talking. We're still talking after our Camino.
Good morning, Warna. Good morning.
So we're here. But yes, listen. That was beautiful what you said. And I'm glad you brought up the 12 steps. You know why? Because I think even when we're nunca te engañes, when we're being today's topic, all the topics since the first of the year, I think though those can fall under the 12 steps of AA, as well as the 5 stages of grief, because you're losing and learning and loving and
Yes.
and changing who you are. So I think and I was reading the 5 stages of grief the other day, and that's exactly what I said. Wow, in any season in a year in our lives, we can apply that to us when we've made the choice to show up for who we are in our true essence. We're going to grieve the loss of the person we have been for so long, whether we like them or not. And we're going to be like, that wasn't me. And we're gonna bargain like, well, maybe if I just be this way when this happens, and so you bringing that up just triggered this thought that I had. And I believe that when we are transitioning into our best selves, when we are vulnerable, when we are learning never to lie to ourselves, when we're accepting ourselves for who we are, so that then we can categorize what needs to go, what needs to stay, what needs to be folded up into the winter bins. When we're doing that, we're going to face all of those things, and we have to accept that it's going to hurt like hell.
Yeah.
And if you can't accept that your changes are going to cause you grave discomfort, where you're going to have to pop up like the grand disruptor of your own life, you need the courage, you need the strength, and you need the vulnerability to drop and just cry and mourn for the person you're no longer going to be, because that season has ended. Yes, Gail, that's what I'm saying. So I think that's what we have to do. And we have to accept the fact that we're going to go through those 5 stages of grieving when we birth the new person that we have always, that's been patiently and not so patiently waiting inside of us. Because sometimes, have you ever lost and you don't even know why that upsets you? And it's because that person wants to come up and you keep swallowing it.
Yeah.
Person wants to come up and you keep swallowing it. So then you're in an invisible silent battle with yourself. You don't know how to identify it. So now you're just, an angry little elf walking around,
An angry little elf. And I think that's really, again, it's really, I mean, how much longer can we keep pushing stuff down? How much, I mean, time goes by and all that does is cause more and more regret. Like when it's interesting that when we're talking about grieving, and we're not talking about grieving people, we're talking about grieving what we're letting go of ourselves.
This and this.
And it's amazing what we attach ourselves to of ourselves. Like we attach ourselves to the part that plays small, or like Madeline is talking about, we attach ourselves to the villain or the victim. And we feel awkward when we let that go. Like that's been a part of me for so long. And it's like, but is that the best representation of you? Like for me, I played the victim. And I've been victimized. Like I've allowed myself to become a victim. I've also played the victim role, because there's 2 different things. But I played the victim role so many years that when I finally decided I could no longer do that, I did a complete opposite swing, where it actually gets me angry when someone tries to victimize me or somebody tries to make me become a victim. And I get angry when people play the victim role. Like I have very little patience for it. And that's something that I'm working on myself, because it takes time for people to get past that. And again, if they've given information and they work on themselves, great. If they've given information and they choose not to, it's not for me to understand why they're doing that. What I think that I mostly get frustrated with is the people who use it as a manipulative tactic, where they know what they're doing and they really aren't a victim. They just pretend to be the victim so that they can get things the way they want them. And I've just decided I don't want to be a victim, and I do not want my children to be raised that way either. And that was one of the conversations I had with my daughter, is that you can only allow yourself to be a victim. And if you want to play that role, that's on you. But you're better than that. You know, we will have times where we're victims. We will have times where we're villains, just like Madeline said. And we have times when we're the victor. And it's a matter of choosing in your life, what do you want to be mostly? You want to be mostly the victor in your life? There will be moments where you might be a victim. There will be moments where you might be a villain. But I got to tell you that more and more, the more you work on yourself, the less victim you become. In fact, I actually don't see a victim too much, because that would tell me that I cannot do, that I'm not resilient, that I have no fight in me. And that's not true. I know that about myself. What I still have to learn to control more is the villain part, is getting mad at myself and getting angry at others and situations, because I don't like that part either. To me, it's like, you're a victor. All that other stuff shouldn't bother you. And I'm shitting on myself, but that's part of it, you know? But anyway, I know we have.
I can agree, yeah, because I know we both got to go. I can agree and disagree. I have been a villain in my life because
Well, you grew up as a survivor.
Yes, because the victimization wasn't. But when becoming the villain, who was I more angry at? Was it the pain in my throat from swallowing golf ball size of tears that I would not allow myself to cry?
Right.
When I was a victim. And I know I've been a villain because, I know that if you rub me the wrong way, I am your worst nightmare. But and the victor, but I think that through every season, Gail said, we look for the path we know. And I know that was an earlier discussion, conversation that you said that, and I did notice it. And discussing grief while celebrating life, Desiree loved that line. But if I believe I have choices, then I also believe I am not a victim. Exactly, because you choose, just a favorite quote, and it's been attributed to so many different names, so we're just going to say unknown. But it is, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I have lived with that since my early 20s, that quote. And
say it one more time. Say it again.
I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And and they attributed a lot to Buddha, but then other people will come up. But let me tell you something. When you can sit there and say, I am not what they did to me. I am not what they're accusing me of. I am not the reason I was raped. I am not the reason I was molested. I am not the reason why the man I love beat me or verbally and emotionally had violent forms towards me. I am not the reason for that, but I am choosing not to be the woe is me in this story.
Right.
And when you can do that, then you are honoring you. When you honor the life that you have every morning that you wake up, then you can see with clearly and focused. But you have to allow yourself the vulnerability to say, today I am, and whatever you want to say to that, like today, I am focused, or I want clarity. I have direction. Today, I am going to be the best me that I can possibly be, because let's be for real, we're humans. We are going to fuck up regardless of how hard we're trying to stand tall. Forgive yourself, because these things are going to happen. We're going to forget an appointment. We're going to be running late. We're going to not get the clothes out the night before. And now everybody woke up late and we're yelling at our kids. And now we're upset because we yelled at our kids. But if we had gotten the clothes, it's just a conundrum of bullshit.
It is a conundrum of bullshit.
So you must tell yourself, you know what? We were tired last night. We didn't get the clothes ready. We were so tired. I didn't set the alarm clock. Well, guess what? Call the school. My kids are coming in late. That's it. That's the best job at the start of your day you can do, is say, oh, fuck, we're late. And not get all riled up. You're already late. Why are you going to ruin your day?
That's right.
And those around you. And if you can be vulnerable with yourself to say, oh, marone me, I didn't set the alarm and now we're late. Take a deep breath. Call whoever you got to call, your job, the kids' school, and then say, good morning. We're late. Let's light firecrackers up our asses and let's get ready. Let's get ready. And do it with grace. Do it with gratitude. You drop them off at work, at school. You go to work. You're late. Okay, work. Don't go to lunch. Stay a little later. There's always options. But stress on your life, there's no time limit on it. You stress yourself over silly things, which to you, being late might not be silly, but it's silly. You're late. What can you do? I woke up a little late today. I text Badass, start without me because I might be 5 minutes late. Because what am I going to do? Get all riled up
and you still look fabulous. Like you were actually more on time today with the 2 a.m. sleep, and you look fabulous than on a day that you go to bed early.
Thank you. But the thing is that you know what? So take some kind of comfort in your life. Take control of your life because that's the only thing you can control. And if you do rise up late tomorrow, kiss yourself because you woke up.
Just like you do. Just like you
go. And if your kids are like slagging today, because the enemy is going to always put those things to make you upset and take you off your path. Say, good morning, kids. Okay, we're late. So come on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then you do it. But life is too short to be petty. If you're late, you're late. What the fuck? You and everybody else who's waiting on you are going to have to deal with it. But don't disrupt your children's day by yelling because now you forgot. Or your partners or yourself. So when you're driving in traffic, you're still maintaining your peace. And that's your power. So, and that's it. Thank you, Gail.
With that, thank you so much. Gladiator Guru is gorgeous. Yes, she is. With such little sleep. It's amazing. And travel, all that traveling. You look fabulous. All right. So everybody, thank you so much for coming on. Tuesday, we're going to be doing What Do I Think of Me? So get ready. Work on yourself this weekend. And we love you. So from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out that bullshit. You're amazing.
Namaste, everybody.